Today we're going to be speaking about the ways we can support the integration of technology and products through user insights and creative magic, the creative magic that happens when UX and UX research work together. Before I begin, I want to, if you don't mind, just to start with a personal note. Some of you might spot my accent. I'm from Israel. This is not an easy week for me. I was, up until the last moment, not sure if to actually make it or not. I was off sick for the entire week, so almost had no time even to prepare. As I speak to you, my mom and my sister are hiding in the shelter in Israel, scared from what's going to happen. So I just want to take this stage to start off by send my wishes for this region to know quieter and peaceful times. And also to ask for your forgiveness if I lose words or get confused or whatever. So thanks for that. I think this is not me. All right. So before we begin, perhaps just a few words about myself. So my name is Doran, as I said. I'm senior UX researcher at justeategrate.com. When not doing research, you would usually find me in the kitchen baking challah, which is a super soft Jewish bread that I also post onto my Instagram account. So here's a self-promo here. Feel free to follow me on Challah Project if you're interested in challahs. JustEatTakeaway.com is a leading global online food delivery marketplace. We operate across over 20 markets. We offer choice for our customers through almost 700,000 partners, serving over 100 different cuisine types. We have a diversified customer base of over 90 million active users. And we're a pretty big team. So we're almost 16,000 employees globally from around 100 different nationalities. As you can see, we're pretty much scattered everywhere. The key focus is Europe and Northern America, Australia and New Zealand. And as you can see over here at the bottom, also a representation in my own country, Israel, with the subsidiary 10bis. So the future is here. And this is how I have decided to start my presentation. And what I want to do is to start off by sharing with you a video that I came across on Twitter about a month ago, actually a month ago today, Twitter or X, that give a sense of like, what do I mean by the future in his ear? And when I speak about the future or I relate to the future, I don't necessarily mean or think of like those big rocket science things or, cure to HIV or whatever you, but actually the small things. So I'm going to play that video and we'll take it from there.
Vocal translator that's drag and drop, so I can just drop this in, and it theoretically should just make it the new language. And then also, it should translate my lip movement so that it matches that new language. So we'll see how it works. I am required to talk for at least 30 seconds to even use this thing, so I guess I'm going to keep going here. So I don't have anything else to say in particular, but hopefully this works well and make some really cool translating clips. Oh, there we go. D'accord. Donc apparemment, c'est un traducteur vocal qui est glissé-déposé. Donc je peux simplement le déposer.
So as you can see now, we all of a sudden speak French, though it doesn't know a word in French. The AI platform uses or applies lip movement accordingly, using his own voice to make sure that it gets it right. And it seems as authentic as we can think. And I think for us, there are also concerns, right? Because this can also be abused. From UX research perspective, this is an amazing tool that can be used across so many different projects and initiatives we're running. So this is French, but he also done it in German.
Angeblich ist dies ein Vokalübersetzer, der per Drag and Drop funktioniert. Also kann ich das einfach fallen
And I think
lassen.
the message is very clear. And the message is that technology is changing everything around us. Not only the big things, but also the small things. It changes the way we sleep. So people now these days wear wearable devices to track their sleep, to take actions to improve their lifestyle and the quality of life. It changes the way we love and socialize and interact. I can share with you that I met my now husband, then boyfriend, through Grindr-like app. We now raised together our lovely daughter. So that's thanks to technology to some part. And it changes the way we eat. So here's an example for the world's first genetically personalized shakes. But what we need to remember is that behind every new product, as exciting and as advanced it might be, there is always the user. And that has never changed over the course of history. And these users are an incredibly diverse group of people. They are different in their age. They have special different needs. And they have different moods even, right? So the same user might be engaging with our product completely differently based on his moods. They are going through different life moments, and their context changes all the time. The way they use our product changes constantly based on the context. At JustEatTakeaway.com, I personally look after the experience of our partners, so namely restaurant and grocery stores, making sure they have an optimal and meaningful experience with us. But how do we even define our partners? There isn't really such a thing as one partner, right? Our partners can be cashiers that are taking orders and just getting and understanding what the customer is interested in. They can be cooks that are essentially taking that orders and cook the food for our customers. They can be businesswomen that are looking to expand their business and build an empire of restaurants, if you will. And it can be all of these people at the same time. We have a lot of cases that we have a one-man or woman show where it's their own restaurant, they're the business owner, they're the restaurant manager, they're the one taking orders, and sometimes they're the one making the food, and sometimes even they're the ones that are delivering that food to their customers. And that's the same user that we need to cater for and understand. So in order for us to create meaningful experiences, and in order for us to build products that users want and love to use, we need to design for this diversity of users and understand their needs deeply. We need to understand their behaviors, their needs, their pain points, their motivations, and we need to leverage UX and UX research to leverage and build on those users' insights to build products that users want and need to use. But how do we get it right? And what I want to share with you are a few principles that I came across from my work experience over 8 years of working on user experience on different companies and different setup and so on. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to go through this list of guiding principles that I use and we'll try to just bring them to life, to share with you how do I relate and work with them to meet the promise that I've just talked about. So the first one, and that's something that we have discussed a lot today on, is setting up inclusive research studies. And if there is something you need to take from this is that accessible products start with accessible and inclusive research. If we want our products to be accessible, we need to make sure we test our products accordingly with the relevant people, with a representation of people from all walks of life and from different needs. So we should have a representation of different markets and languages and age and gender and background and culture and special needs. Special needs should be our bar to the product that we want to build. When thinking about usability, we shouldn't only be thinking about how much time did it take for a user to get from point A to B, or how well does he understand the flow, or as he managed to actually complete the task. We also need to think about how readable our products are. So we, for example, while we're a tech company, we print out receipts that our cooks can actually understand what to cook. Can they read it? Is the font clear enough? In the setup of the kitchen, can they actually see what they need to prepare and make sure that they take care of allergen and things that sometimes can even be life-threatening? We need to make sure our products are readable. We need to understand the physical interface and the way it impacts our users. This has a lot to do with the things that actually happen in between the product moments. Our products doesn't live in vacuum. It's a set of actions and activities that take place within a product and outside of it. And we need to understand the physical interface and the way it impacts our product. And we need to understand what blockers could advanced technology create for some to make sure we take them into account when we build meaningful products and services. The second point is considering the context in which users use our product. At Just Eat Takeaway, we worked on a project focusing on a tablet. So just for your context, every partner of ours, every restaurant has a tablet that it positions next to the till and essentially can manage their order intake. And as we were working on one feature in that tablet, in the platform itself that runs on that tablet, we were focusing on the copy and the color and the buttons and where to place them and so on. And then we decided that instead of testing this out in a remote setup, we would actually go to restaurants. We would try to see what is it like for them to interact and engage with our products before we launch it. And what we found out was really amazing. So we realized that there are some stuff we need to take into account when building our products. That it could be that the hands of the restaurant partner is greasy and oily from cooking food, and as such, it's harder for him to actually click on that tablet. We found out that it could be that the tablet itself is not noisy enough to make the partner understand there is a new order coming in that he needs to accept in the context of a lousy restaurant, and vice versa. That in some of the cases, some have said that the noise is actually too noisy, the beeps are too noisy and create disruption, if you will, for the dining customers. So context matters, and we need to understand the context in which users use our product. We need to ask ourselves, what are they trying to achieve? We need to step out for a second and try to think, what is the key thing they're trying to accomplish through our product? And constantly think of that. We need to ask ourselves, when and where are they when they use our products? Are they on their daily commute? Are they in a restaurant? Are they with their family? Is it late at night or early morning or during lunchtime? We need to ask ourselves, what triggers them to use our product? What is that key moment that gets them to pull their phone out of their pocket and go into our app? What are the sets of conditions that need to happen for them to go and do that? We need to understand that. We need to understand what and who influences their decision-making. When they use our product, when they engage with it, could it be that actually there is someone else sitting next to them that we need to take into account? And also, not less importantly, could it be that we actually have secret users? And by secret users, I mean people that we're just literally not realizing or aware of that they use our products. So I can tell you, I'll give you an example. At Just Eat Takeaway, there are many cases where we provide the login details to a restaurant partner, and as far as we're concerned, he's the one logging into a platform where he can manage his partnership with us. But what we found out through research is that that same login detail is being used by the shift manager who goes onto the platform to take items off the menu because they're running out of stock, the accountant who goes in to download the invoices, and the business owner who goes in to essentially look how the business is doing, how's the restaurant doing. And as far as we're concerned, if we only look at data, this is one user, and it's not. And we need to understand that. And speaking of data, we need to develop data-driven mindset. Data and UX research and UX cannot compete each other the other way around. We need to use data to get some cues as to what is it that we need to utilize our research for. We need to understand from data, when do users go onto our product? How much time do they spend on it? What sort of flows are they taking? What is the frequency of them going into our products? And those questions would be able to help us shape the research and the UX work that we do, and eventually their products. So when using data, we should be asking ourselves, to identify the research focus and scope the study. We can find cues that would help us understand what is it that we actually need to understand better to bring this data to life. We need to use data to design concept and script the research materials accordingly. So if data shows us that users tend to follow a certain flow, We need to contextualize this. We do know that they do that, but why do they do it? How do they do it? For what reasons? This is something that research can help us understand. And we need to synthesize research findings and deliver research reports. We need to make sure that we create that conversion to make rich and thorough research reports that would allow us to fully understand the problem space. The fourth point is creating a clear path to impact. And as much as AI is a big word now, impact for UX and UX research is always on the table. There wasn't any session I attended that the word impact wasn't there. And impact means different things for different people, and I want to share with you the way I understand impact through a few examples or points. The first one is that we need to understand the needs of our stakeholders. So as researchers, as UX researchers and UXers, we're always asked, or we're trying to build empathy toward our users, right? Which is obviously kind of the key basic of the UX word and work. But we also need to build empathy toward our stakeholders. We need to understand, what do they need? What are they trying to achieve? What can we do in our research and our project to make sure they're set up to success to build on these research findings? We need to create accountability among the team. We do the UX work and the UX research work, but this should be something that everyone is immersed and invested in. We need to make sure that our stakeholders are invested in research from day one, through alignment on the focus of the research and the key questions that we have, through participation in the research activities and sessions and hear our users speak firsthand on their pain points, and contributing to the research synthesis, trying to help us understand what does it mean? What's the meaning of what we've heard and learned? We need to translate findings into insights and action. We need to make sure that our reports aren't only telling what we saw and observed, but why it matters. What are the insights that are shaping and pushing these sorts of behavior that we have observed? Our research isn't done when the report is done, and essentially the work of the UX and the UX research starts when the research is actually out. This is the key moment when we need to take these research findings and push them as much as we can, leverage the momentum we have gained to actually make sure that we shape the product according to the needs of our users. And lastly, we need to go beyond product, and it connects to some of the points that I've already mentioned before. Our findings has the potential to have bigger impact by working with different functions, team, units across the organization. They can benefit our research, so think of marketing and sales and account management and data. These units work with our users as well. We can work with them as well, and that can also shape and enrich our findings. The fifth point is that we need to accept that our products are never truly complete. They would never come to an ending line. They will always keep developing. Technology keeps changing our products, and again, cannot avoid using AI in a presentation, right? So here's a platform offers to turn words into art. Life keeps changing our product. Here is a Face ID by Apple that now allows us to unlock our phone using mask, something that was always only triggered by life. And we keep changing our product. So we all have a full list and long list of product roadmap features and initiatives that we want to implement. And that list would never be empty. This is an example of WhatsApp, who has recently introduced the message editing that I guess we all now use. But we would always have things to do on our products, and we need to accept that and understand that. And my last point is that we need to understand that our users don't stand still. They constantly change themselves. So the users you have spoken to 2 years ago or a year ago might be different, totally different users if you speak to them today. Social context changes constantly, and as such, things that used to be common behavior and practices that we were building our product based on might no longer be relevant. Needs change all the time. Who would have thought 30 years back that Apple would advertise its product through privacy, right? This is not something I would have expected. The needs of the user change, their priorities change, and we need to accept that. And lastly, perception and thinking keep evolving. They bring into our product space new sets of expectations and beliefs and perceptions that we need to cater for, and that creates a loop that would never essentially end. So where will all of this take us to or get us? What am I trying to accomplish by following these guiding principles that I've shared with you? We will grow in our stature and value that we create to the team and to the organization. We will accelerate the impact we already have. And I'm very happy to say that I think most of you, if not all of you, would agree that today UX has a seat around the table, but we can even get a higher impact. And together, by working together, UX and UX research and the entire product domain, we will be able to shape the vision and the business model of the companies we work at, realizing that what is good for our users is good for our business. And we will be able to leverage technology to build things that truly matter. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Darren. That's, yeah, amazing presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, please, down at the front.
Hi there. Thank you very much for that. It was really good, really nice pace to it as well, actually. I work in accessibility, and I think a sort of constant challenge I come up against is wanting businesses wanting to do and be inclusive, but not knowing how to do that in a kind of statistical significance way of going around research. Sort of the 80-20, like how does that work? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
I think eventually, and I think you're right? We would not be able to cater for every needs and representing every sort of user that I've just shared the idea of on any test or research that we do. We need to think systematically and strategically on applying this as a key principle in our recruitment principles. So as much as we say we want to make sure that we speak to users that have those attributes, we need to make sure that at least some of them have some sort of accessibility issue that we can look at. And I think gradually, if you are looking at it from a more systematic way of thinking, it's not that necessarily one research would shape your full picture on how should we apply this to so many different accessibility needs. And I think one of us already talked about this, but gradually we'd be able to understand and have a full understanding of what it takes and to just make sure we take that into account when building products.
Thanks, that was a really comprehensive presentation, and I can imagine only in very challenging times for you, so really appreciate that. There was something in particular you mentioned, which I'm really curious to explore a little bit more, which was related to the multiple users using one login. I was just curious to find out how you approached that, whether that went beyond giving different logins to those different users, whether that actually adjusted the solution according to some sort of user permission scenario. I was just wondering if you could expand a little bit more on that, please.
Yeah, for sure, and I think this is a great question. I think it all starts off by realizing that there are some things that data cannot necessarily help us uncover. Because if I would have looked at data, I wouldn't have necessarily be able to understand that. So first off is conducting UX research that will help us understand the context of our users, and by talking to them and by going onto their restaurants to understand who are the people or users that are using our product. So that would be the first step. In that particular case, what we have decided to do is some sort of a user management platform that would allow us to make sure that the most important things are accessible to the relevant users and to have control of that. And I think that's part of the solution. So there could be many cases, by the way, that we won't necessarily be able to cater for all of our users exactly in that case. But even the awareness and the understanding of that can shape some of our decisions and make sure that we take that into account. So this is how we're trying to understand that and take that into every product we build.